All right. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by BetUS TV, where tonight we will talk about a new low point for this Knicks season. The Knicks went into Charlotte to play a team that has long ago quit on this season, if they were ever really in on this season. It's not a serious basketball team. It's not a serious basketball organization. And a team that frankly has no interest in doing the things that you should have to do during this time of year when you're trying to beat a team that has real goals and aspirations. And that team, that unserious kind of a joke of a team, or at least they have been for a while now, didn't just beat the Knicks. They blew them out. They embarrassed them. And they did it in a way that if you are a Knicks fan and you had hopes about what this season could be, that level of frankly pathetic performance by this basketball team has to make you question everything that you thought you knew or you thought you believed about what this group was made of, what this group is capable of, and whether this group has any of the grit and togetherness. That's my big word of the night, because it was nowhere to be found. The togetherness that defined last year's group. A group that we will, anybody who was lucky enough to watch them will remember for the rest of their lives, not because they won a ton of games. They did. They won 50 games. This team, even with tonight, I could see winding up with as many or more wins. And yet it feels completely different. And for a lot of people, it has felt completely different this entire season. And people like me have pushed back pretty hard at times. Say, you're overreacting. You're living in the past. Give them time. Let them get adjusted. They got to get used to each other. They got to build cohesion. They got to figure stuff out. They got to figure out how to play together. It's year one, yada, 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 yada. That's all talk. It's all talk. At this point in the season, where it's March, and you are trying to solidify whatever it is you're going to be when the games start to count in less than 4 weeks from now. Or I guess less than a month from now, I should say. March 19th is when the playoffs kick off. You should start to see the best from teams. And what the Knicks gave you tonight was the absolute worst that they are capable of. We could sit here and we could go through the caveats. The first one, maybe the only one that matters. No Jalen Brunson once again for this team. DJ Zulo, when he was doing the post game, I believe it was after the Warriors loss, phrased it very aptly. It was a ship without its captain. And I think that was it was appropriate, certainly on the court, because this team at the end of close games or during, when things get tight, they just have trouble generating any semblance of really offense that you could feel confident in. But what a game like this made me wonder, and it wasn't just this, it's honestly been a lot of the stuff that has happened over the last few weeks. I mean, starting with the Mikal Bridges comments, If you want to go to the Josh Hart blow up on the bench against the Warriors, if you want to go with them not starting games with any semblance of seriousness, I'm wondering if they are missing him as much off the court as they are on the court. I've said it after wins. I've said it after great moments. I've said it after big game winners and times where Brunson has rescued them, that he is as important to this franchise as any player is to any other franchise in the entire league. And I meant it then, and I think it may be truer now than after any of those good events. Because I said it, I was alluding to it on the halftime Zoom, and I think I'm going to double down on it now. I don't know that I would go so far as to say like they are playing like a fractured team, but they're out there like a bunch of guys. Not pulling in the same direction. I mean, defensively tonight was a complete joke. I know the Hornets, whatever. They scored how many points in the first half? 54 points in the first half, ended up with 115 for the game. I know they scored like 145 points a week or so ago. I don't care. That team was the team that beat them tonight was terrible. I know they shot well from three, but that's only because they eventually got to the point where they're like, oh, we could just get whatever we want. And there was a level of comfort facing this Knicks defense that like they were never threatened. Never once were they threatened. Any bad offense from the Hornets was a result of the Hornets, not anything the Knicks were doing. And like that's not a team that comes out prepared to win and prepared to compete. Doesn't do that. And is it one guy? Is it two guys? Is it all the guys? Is it none of the guys? And it's just a collective thing? I don't really know. I mean, if we want to go through the fingers to blame, we could go through them right now. Look, if you want to blame the NBA schedule makers and say that this was a yet another, I thought last night was supposed to be a schedule loss. Well, I guess how many schedule losses can we have in 1 week? When you want to talk about 10 for 39 from three, with all the travel that they have, like dead legs, the whole thing. Yeah, whatever. That's fine. It's the fucking Hornets. It's the fucking Hornets. It's not an excuse. Not against this team. When you had far more fans in the building than theirs, which I think matters. So I'm not sorry, but no. We can start with the coach. It's fine. There's, needless to say, no bigger defender of the man than the guy or than me right here. That wasn't a team prepared to play. That wasn't a team prepared to win. That wasn't a team that looked like it knew really what it was doing, certainly on defense. I mean, offense, did they generate some good looks? Yeah, sure. They generated some good looks and they missed them. And that's part of the game. But man, it doesn't feel like there has been a whole lot of progress in what they are able to do or what they have been able to achieve and in terms of a game plan since Brunson went out. And look, people have been calling for Tyler Kolek for weeks. I've been laughing at those people. Like just literally outwardly laughing. Like we're sitting here talking about Tyler Kolek. At this point, what leg do I have to stand on? Is Tyler Kolek going to be worse than what we just saw from the likes of Campaign and Landry Shamet? Maybe there's a chance he actually would have given them some kind of a spark. Who knows? We don't know. That's the thing. When you win games and you do it your way, nobody gets to say boo. Or people will say boo, but it falls on deaf ears. But when you got the calls for this or that or the other thing, and you stick to your guns and you do it your way, well, then it's open season. Then it's fair game. And so, like, you want to go to the Kolek thing. You want to go to the fact that, like, the Deuce starting point guard thing hasn't really, has now probably had more diminishing returns than positive. I thought tonight was another rough game from Deuce. I mean, he was scoreless until the third quarter. And I think maybe the most damning thing of all with the coach for me tonight is that he put a player out there in the second half who, in the first half of this game, put forth the most embarrassing level of effort and just like being into the game that I think with maybe one exception, that I've ever seen from a player by far under this coach, and was reminiscent of like watching the Knicks of the like the 2000s and the 2010s. And yes, I'm talking about Precious Achiuwa. Precious Achiuwa, I get it. This season maybe hasn't gone as he would have liked it to. I get he, I don't know what he wants, because if there was another team out there that really wanted to sign Precious Achiuwa, they could have had him. Nobody came knocking. I think there's probably a reason for that. That dude went out there and played with a care factor of 0 in the first half. He made the Hornets look like a team that gave a shit with what he brought out there. And it was to the level where I actually at halftime, I was like, Tibbs, there's no way Tibbs is going to put him out there in the second half. He can't. I know he's stick to his guns. He is, I'm not going to, I'm going to trust the process. No pun intended. The fact that he put him back out there, and not only put him back out there, and I think he played more minutes in the second half than he did in the first half. And it was just as bad, if not worse. That's like, I don't know, man. That's thumbing your nose at something really dangerous. And I did not appreciate it as a fan. I like, who else is on the bench? It was to the level where, like, they just signed PJ Tucker. Throw Tucker out there. Tucker's gonna give a shit, play DeLon Wright, if you don't want to play Tyler Kolek. Put DeLon Wright in the game. And play OG at the 5 and rejigger things that way. Play Josh Hart at the 5. Like, anybody other than Precious Achiuwa, because of what he gave you in the first half. It's just, that was unfathomable to me. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other tip stuff that people are going to bring up, which, like, again, tonight, it's open season. But you know what? The other thing I was thinking about as I was watching this, that super chatter last night who sent in, and I forget their name, but shout out to them, was like, really? We're using this roster spot on PJ Tucker? And again, I was like, come on. We're really worrying about the 15th man? Well, guess what? Tonight, we probably should worry about the 15th man, because the Knicks bench was that bad. Landry Shamet, not an NBA player, at least not on a team that hopes to achieve anything decent. We talked about Achiuwa. Maybe the campaign thing has run its course. Seems like it has right now. You obviously didn't have Brunson. You obviously didn't have Mitchell Robinson. Look, I've been very complimentary of the front office. I have stood by the front office, and I will continue to stand by the front office, even though, boy, oh boy, are there certain decisions that, or one in particular that they made this summer, which is aging more poorly by the day. I'm not talking about Karl-Anthony Towns. Like, they were hamstrung and they were operating from a deficit without question. And that's why I think they deserve every benefit of the doubt for this season. At least get them to the summer, get them to another transaction cycle. But this, like, there's just not enough NBA players on this roster right now. And Benji tweeted it out as a joke, like something about Jericho Sims. I mean, traded Jericho Sims away to do the guy a favor. You know who you could have used tonight? You could have used Jericho Sims. Because I just it would have been better than that. He would have absolutely been better than that. And you gave him away for a guy just because you're trying to do right by a guy, which, look, appreciate that. But you got a guy that doesn't play. And now, and you used the last spot on Tucker because of locker room, right? And look, maybe that'll pay dividends in the playoffs. It might. But right now, that doesn't look great. I don't know what TJ Warren was doing tonight, but it would have been better with what they had. And, but like more to the larger, bigger picture issues, this front office made a bet on this group. And look, they were put into a bit of a corner when Isaiah Hartenstein left, and they were forced to kind of scramble a little. But they bet on, obviously, Brunson. They bet on the culture. And they bet that what they had going could overcome any deficiencies that, come with maybe some of the guys that they traded for, including Mikal Bridges. And boy, oh boy, since that Portland game, I know it hasn't been all bad. I know he's had he had a nice shooting performance, certainly, against Miami. Is he made for this? Is he made for this? Are we sure he's made for this? I know I'm not the first person to ask that question. There were people asking that question back in the preseason. And it's gotten to the point where I feel like it's more than warranted. So yeah, you want to blame the front office? Blame the front office. As far as the players go, I talked about the bench tonight. That is nothing else needs to be said about the bench. Less said about the bench, the better. The shooting is what the shooting is. I thought OG Anunoby played really hard. He was one of the guys that played really hard. 3 for 12 from deep is 3 for 12 from deep. Towns, got frustrated at times, but I thought Towns was, again, their best source of offense for much of the night. Josh Hart, finishes 5 for 8. Actually, funny enough, how about Josh Hart making all 3 of his? Has there ever been a quieter, perfect 3-point performance on an evening than Josh Hart? Because he made the 3 threes that he took, and that was great. But like, again, the hesitation, the guarding off of him, it's tough right now to overcome that with Jalen Brunson out. And they don't have any other options, though, because, again, who are you going to put in for Josh Hart? Josh Hart should play all the minutes with the way the bench played. And here we are. Here we are sitting, again, we're now less than a month away from the playoffs. And I know, Jalen Brunson's going to come back. There was a positive, I guess, report on him from Tibbs earlier today. He's not in a walking boot anymore. He's doing some light shooting. Might be dicey to get him qualified for All-NBA and that sort of thing. I'm sure they'll try. He'll be back, and he cures a lot of ills. But I just don't know. I don't know how you watch this game and come away being like, everything's fine. Everything's going to be fine. They were tired. It's fine. Second night back-to-back. Hornets hit some shots. Knicks didn't. It's fine. Brunson, he'll come back. Rescue. It's going to be fine. Something about that. Something about the level of how bad that was gives me pause as far as sitting here and saying everything's going to be fine. It doesn't look like it is right now. And I don't really know what else to say about it other than that. I'd say that this is like look in the mirror time, but if losing to the Spurs last night and having a guy who's going to be a ninth man for the majority of his career, like have a career game against you, if that didn't inspire a look in the mirror, and then what they do when they came out tonight, gave a early 7-0 lead, the guy who they cut or traded away or whatever in the Bridges trade over the summer, Daquan Jeffries is lighting him up. You know, like he was as good as any Knick tonight. Shit. So if there wasn't already a look in the mirror, are we going to expect there's going to be a look in the mirror before Washington on Saturday and before, the rest of the schedule? Why should we believe that? What is going to change? They're going to get some rest? All right. I hope that does it. I really do hope that does it. Because right now, and the worst part of tonight, I'm not even surprised. Because coming into this game, I was like, man, I don't feel good about this at all. But it's a long season. Hopefully we look back on this game and this little stretch as nothing but a blip. And I could look back on this and be like, man, that was an overreaction. It's not how I'm feeling right now, though. All right. On that note, before we get to the super chats, let's take a quick second to hear from our good friends at Factor. You know the deal about Factor because I've been talking about it now for a little while. It is the way to optimize your nutrition and doing it in an easy way with chef-made gourmet meals that all you have to do is pop them in the microwave 2 minutes and boom, you have a dietitian approved meal that will fuel how you want to live. And that's really the key because Factor does it in the way that you want based on the meal plan that you want to use, whether it's Factor keto meals, whether it's you're on a certain type of diet, whether you like fish, whether you like chicken, whether you like pasta, whether you're a vegetarian. They have literally every kind of option, not to mention wholesome smoothies, breakfasts, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons where that came from. I love Factor. I feel really great about promoting it here because I just can't imagine anyone getting this and say, yeah, this isn't for me. It's affordable, it's good, it's tasty, and again, you'll feel good about yourself from eating it. So take advantage. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code factorpodcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code factorpodcast at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. All right, here we go. I'm ready for this. We start with D-Bro. What's going on, D-Bro? Achua played like he doesn't want to be here. I don't think he does. And I don't think I don't know that he's the only one. And it's like that's the thing about last year's team. They all loved it here. Including at the time, I think, Achua. Because he chose to come back. He could have gone to another team. And he chose to come back. So what changed? What changed? But I don't the last year's team. They took pride in the words that were on the front of their jersey, and I think they bought into the coach too wholeheartedly. Is this a team that looks like it's fully bought in? I don't know. Again, somebody last night was like, "Hey, I think Tibbs has lost the locker room," and I kind of again laughed it off. I lost the locker room is that's way too far. Because I think there are enough Tibbs guys in there, and I don't think that that's accurate. But what about the non-Tibbs guys? And how many non-Tibbs guys are in this roster? Are in this locker room? Precious Achiuwa, sure as shit, does not look like a guy who was going out and playing hard for his coach. That was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. Totally embarrassing. Thanks, T-Bro. Scott Thomas, what's going on, Scott? The roster needs a serious upgrade. I'm definitely worried about the first round. I mean, yeah, sure, but I'm just trying to think what are my priorities as a fan of this team that has waited for the more than 30 years for this team to see this team truly be a contender for a championship. What am I most worried about? Am I worried about the first round? Yeah, I'm worried about the first round, but you know what? If they go out, and I don't think this will happen, but if they go out and they lose in the first round and then like the coach is going to get fired and maybe they'll make a trade or something. I think it'll probably just be the coach getting fired. And then it's like, all right, well, maybe that's what they need. Maybe they just need a new voice. And then is that actually, should we be not rooting for that, but like, maybe that's what they need. I don't know. So you're talking about serious upgrade. They don't have the assets to make a serious upgrade, depending on what your definition of a serious upgrade is. That's what I'm more worried about. Is this mix? Because they have kind of maybe not gone all in on this mix, but they've gone pretty close to all in on this mix. What if the mix is just bad? How much maneuverability do you have if you need to ship one of these pieces out? That's the funniest part. Like, with the coach stuff. If the only problem with this team is the coach, oh my Lord, would I sign up for that? Get him out of here tomorrow. That would be such an easy solution. I'm worried it's something bigger and something more. That's what I'm worried about. Thanks, Scott. Another one from Scott. There is a world that Deuce and Hart won't be on this team. I would be, other than Jalen Brunson, I would be the most shocked if Hart got moved. I just don't think. And look, you want to blame Jalen Brunson for this. You want to blame Leon Rose for this. I blame whoever you want for this. I just don't think they're trading Jalen Brunson's best friend. And also, like, Hart is like a very, like, we don't need to go through how he is unique as a player and that for all of the things that he brings to the table, like there's other stuff that he takes off the table. You want to tell me you want to use Marcus Smart as the comparison? Marcus Smart meant so much to the Boston Celtics for so many years, and the first year that he was off the team, they won the championship. Very imperfect player, so much great stuff, like developed loyalties for life from a lot of members of that fan base and surely members of that team. But at the end of the day, they had to move him. I don't think you do that with Hart. One, because I think he's got more years left, and I think he's in a rut right now, and I don't think this is reflective of who he is as a player. But number two, and again, this speaks to what I was talking about before. I'm worried enough about the foundation of this organization, frankly, right now. And if you lose Josh Hart, like what's like, yeah, Brunson's still here, but then what does that do to Brunson? So I don't. And Deuce, it's like, yeah, if there's another team out there that values Deuce a ton, I'm sure they wouldn't hesitate to move Deuce if they thought they could make it a better team. I don't see that. I've thought for a long time, and I've said this before. I think Deuce is worth more to them than he's going to be worth to other teams. But we'll see. Thanks, Scott. Colin Reardon, what's going on, Colin? Like watching a team with a bad bullpen. Yeah, that's. I mean, the bench stunk. For me, tonight went beyond the bench. I mean, we could read the numbers. Shamit, 19 minutes, -9. Payne, 16 minutes, -9. Precious, funny enough, 17 minutes, -5. And like that doesn't tell you everything, but I don't know. This was deeper than the bench for me tonight. It was so much deeper than the bench. Thanks, Colin. OG team, what's going on, OG? Continuing to play the same 3 bench players that gave us 0 points for 3.5 quarters is funny. Yeah, I mean, it's tragic. It's tragic more than it is anything else. Again, this is I think if you have been a proponent of like gotta play Tyler Kolek, I think tonight is your first really, really, really strong piece of evidence that like, hey man, it can't be worse than this. So yeah. Thanks, OG team. I think you got another one. What the fuck happened to Cat's rebounding? Significant drop. Maybe he's tired. I mean, he got 10 boards in 36 minutes, but I agree with you. I thought it was pretty poor. I mean, the one that I'm looking at even more For Josh Hart to get 4 rebounds in 39 minutes, that surprised me as well. And then, like, Mikal got a couple of nice boards. I don't want to put too much on him. But I thought, just as a team, they didn't rebound as a team. They rebounded 38 times. They got out-rebounded by 14. You're just not going to win basketball games that way. The whole team didn't rebound well enough. Just wasn't good enough. Thanks, OG. Drew P, what's going on? Genuinely, who is our third best guy? Can it be Mitch? Man, I think it's Obi. I've always kind of thought it was, or excuse me, OG. Freudian slip as I'm watching the Pacers walk off the court after they beat the Nets. So Pacers within 3 games. That race is not over yet. I think it's OG. I think OG brings you certainly the best defense. He brings you the best defensive ceiling. I think he brings you the best defensive floor. And I think offensively, I know he was cold from 3 tonight and cold from 3 last night. I really like how he's approaching the game offensively with Brunson out. But yeah, I think it's OG Anunoby. But there's I don't know. I think nobody played well tonight. You know, nobody played well tonight. That's the best way I could address your question. Because I think there are times where OG Anunoby looks like he could be easily the third best guy on a title team. And Mikal Bridges looks like he could be the third best guy on a title team. And Josh Hart looks like he could be the third best guy on a title team. You know? None of them played like it tonight. Which is concerning. Because, like, you know, gotta play well. Thanks, Drew. I am AK Legend. What's going on, I am AK? Last 2 games make me sad. We know they're better. Yeah, they played like shit. They played like shit. And like you don't want to see your team play like shit, especially when that team was discussed as a title contender this year. Because this just can't be all about Jalen Brunson. I mean, I know he's the most important player on the team, and he might be the most important player his team in the league. But for them to completely and totally fall apart, yeah, I think they're better than this. But okay, great. So why didn't you show it? Why didn't you show it? Thanks, I am AK Legend. Dom Cappuccini. What's going on, Dom? How you doing? 4 months ago, when we were in Charlotte, I said on here that maybe McCown needs a sports drink. Maybe the whole team does. JB's return isn't going to fix everything. More so a collective confidence boost. I don't know if it's about confidence. I think there's, again, I think there's something. I think there's just something off. I think there's something off because there are teams across the league. Every good team has a star or multiple stars. And those stars miss games all the time. And we see it with good organizations. They find ways to overcome the loss of their star player. And they come together and they rally and they reach a deeper level. And like, look, the Knicks have done that a couple of times here without Brunson in beating Sacramento, in beating Portland, in beating who the hell else did they beat? In beating Miami. Those aren't good teams. You know, all due respect to Sacramento. I know Portland's been playing very well. But this has been a cupcake schedule. I actually think the best performance they gave was on the whole was probably against Golden State when you consider how good their defense was in that game. I really do think they defended really well. But I don't know. I think something's up. Thanks, Tom. Robert Cross, you predicted it. Well, maybe not predicted it, but like we were DMing before the game, and you were like, people are going to lose their shit if they lose this game. And I didn't respond to that because I was like, I don't think that's that far-fetched. First time, long time, it's your boy John. I can't recall having less belief in a 43-25 team. Yeah. Or actually, no, sorry, you misspoke, Robert. Aren't they 43-26 now? I think they are. Yeah, 43-26. That's the crazy part. Is like they're gonna finish with a really good record. I'm sure they are. Be wild if they didn't win 50 games. That would be something. That would be wild. And which is not off the table, by the way. I mean, they have to have a winning record from here to win 50 games, which is not a guarantee with how they looked just now. Like, these are supposed to be 2 wins, or at least one of them, at the very least, is supposed to be a win. You got none. So, yeah, I mean, gun to my head right now, I still think they win in the first round. I do still think they get a victory in the round 1. But I don't think that's a guarantee. And to say that I have, like, really close to no faith that they could win a matchup with the Celtics, if it's them, maybe, who knows? Maybe they wind up with against the Cavs in round 2 if they get there. Yeah, not great right now, Robert. Mr. Fabro, what's going on, Mr. Fabro? This was not a meaningless loss. No, it was not. Obviously, I hope I made that clear in the monologue. We've thought about the 3rd seed as a foregone conclusion because we assume we'll win games like this. I'm legitimately worried we won't make it out of the first round. But again, let's just play this out. So let's say they fall to 4. Let's say they fall to 4, and it means that they play, the Bucks or the Pacers in round 1. Like, how much does that change things? You could say, all right, well, they lost to a better team in round 1, as opposed to if they would have played Detroit. Detroit isn't as good of a team, and it would have, they would have gotten out of round 1, and then the season would have been a little bit of a better, none of this shit matters. Let's say they get out of round 1 and they beat Detroit, and then they go and they play Boston and they lose in 5 games. Like, what's the difference between that and losing in round 1 in 6 games or 7 games to the Pacers or the Bucks? This season was going to go down as a success or a failure by whether at the end of the day, at the end of the playoffs, whenever they get eliminated, we would have the ability to look at them and say, all right, they're on the right track. Like, they didn't win it this year, but with a tweak here or a tweak there, they're on the right track. They got the pieces. We could see the vision. We could see how it works together. If they get eliminated, whether it's in the first round to the Pacers or the Bucks or the Pistons, or the second round in dispiriting fashion to the Celtics or the Cavs or whatever, and we're looking at this and we're being like, man, it felt like we were a lot closer, or even a little bit closer, to the finish line at the end of last season than it feels like we are right now. That's the big deal. And that's all that matters. And I just don't know how you look at this team right now and think that we're going to get to that finish line, again, regardless of who they play, and feel better about what's in store next season than we did after the conclusion of the previous season. I don't know how you could do that. And that's what I'm worried about. Far more than falling to the 4th seed or the 5th seed or any of that. That's all semantics. That's semantics. Anyway. Thanks, Mr. Febro. Paul DeSantis, what's going on, Paul? As bad a back-to-back as I can remember. Hard body language as well. Very concerning. It sucked. It sucked. How many times on defensive possessions did they let go of the rope? Like, the compete factor at the point of attack was so bad. It was so bad. Nobody stood their ground tonight. Like, if they did, it was like, all right, rescreen. And if a Nick, God forbid, actually stood his ground on the second screen, all right, rescreen one more time. Like, eventually you were going to get where you wanted to go. And you were going to draw help, and you were going to kick out, and you were going to get an open look from 3, or you were going to get a dunk. The compete level was not there. It was not there. Thank you, Paul. Kevin Danishevsky. What's going on, my friend? Indefensible. Yep. We have entered Elfrid Payton territory with Precious Achiuwa. Yeah. I think we're actually, yes, it's very bad. Can't recall a player playing this poorly on the Knicks since Elfrid that year. Hart and McCall were bad. Yeah, they were bad tonight. I mean, Payton was the Payton part of it was incredibly frustrating because they had like other options, right? Like on the bench, and they didn't go to those options. That's what made the Payton thing so frustrating. You know, this is similar in that I guess they do have other options, although no Mitch tonight. So, like, I don't blame him for putting Precious out there in the first half. I blame him for putting Precious out there in the second half. Again, play anyone else. It's like, I don't know who he was trying to prove a point to, but that, if I didn't know better, I would think that was Tibbs trying to show someone up or being like, oh, this is what you want? This is what you give me or whatever? I don't know, but that was not a guy who gave a shit about his team tonight. Precious Achiuwa. Indefensible. Another one from Kev. I mean, as a rotation player, just is offering absolutely nothing right now. Hilarious that these losses will likely have zero effect with Indy probably losing. Well, Indiana won. They beat Brooklyn. So, again, they're now 3 games back. It is so not about that. I know you know that, Kev. It is so not about that. There's just I'm not going to say I don't care about the standings, but it's such a secondary concern for me right now. They're just playing like crap. Thanks, Kev. Brolick, Jesus, what's going on, Brolick? Is it time for a players-only meeting? Led by who? And to say what? You know? I don't know. I here's what I do know. I know that I want Jalen Brunson back in the locker room, even if he's not playing. I know that. I know that big time. Thanks, Brolick. Dom Cappuccini with another one. Embarrassing game. April is about to be a hell of a lot more stressful than the last 2 springs, I fear. It's a gut feeling I cannot shake. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be stressful. Like, I think we'll have a better idea of what we're dealing with entering the playoffs before we know how stressful April is going to be. I don't know. You ask me right now, I still think they'll figure out a way to win around 1, and they'll probably look better in round 2 than we would expect them to look based on how we feel right now. But serious issues here. Very serious issues. Thanks, Tom. JD, what's going on, JD? Pistons licking their chops seeing this matchup. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I was another team that I would ever be licking my chops knowing I have to face Jalen Brunson, if nothing else. But because he is kind of a culture unto himself, and he's a borderline contending team unto himself. And the thing I guess that gives me hope, JD, and I know you have a couple more comments, is he's such a leader. Whatever bullshit is going on right now, and that is preventing them from playing up to their capabilities, I just can't imagine being a player in that locker room and not, and like giving forth that level of effort, and then with the thought that you would have to look at Jalen Brunson in the face afterwards. I cannot imagine that. And that's like my silver lining, I guess. Or not, maybe not silver lining, but like it's the thing that I'm hanging on to. So we'll see. A couple more, I think, from JD. Need another legit shot creator in the offseason. Yeah, we've been talking about that. We talked about it in the last show. We could say it again. With the assets that they have, if you're going to get a shot creator, it's probably going to be a six-man type of guy off the bench who is going to have defensive questions, because if it was a legit shot creator that did not have defensive questions, then you're talking about a max player, and I just don't know how they get a max player without, I mean, you want to trade Karl-Anthony Towns, like so who's your center? Look, we could talk about these things later. There's always, when there's a will, there's a way. The question I think right now is, will there be a will? Because Brock Aller could probably find a way, although the asset chest is the cupboard is a little dry, a little bare. So I don't know. I could see them shaking things up this summer for sure. Thanks, JD. And one more. Need more from Deuce. He has been super disappointing. I think he's struggling right now. For sure. Let me see if any of this is updated. 43 and 26. What are they down? Man, Knicks are down to the Timberwolves have passed the Knicks in net rating. Knicks are down to 8th in the league in net rating, plus 3.8 points per 100 possessions, below the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. Their offense is now tied with the Grizzlies for 5th, and their defense is still 14th. So do with that what you will. But yeah, no, I mean, it's all trending in the wrong direction. I mean, they've been it got off to a really good start. They've been a mediocre team for a while now. As far as Deuce goes, last 7 games, 37% from the field, averaging 12.6 points. That is 4th on the team after Cat, McCall, and OG are all, they're 18, 21, and 25. 37% overall, shooting 40% from deep on 6.4 attempts per game. That volume on the threes in 34 minutes a night is not really what you want. Only getting to the line one time. He's gotten a 1 time per game, 7 free throws attempts in 7 games. That's not going to cut it. That's really maybe the biggest. And it's quiet because we pay attention to how he runs the offense. But when your lead initiator has attempted 7 free throws in 7 games, that's poor. And a little under a turnover, which is good, but 5 assists, it's like, all right. I don't know. It's not great right now. How many times have I said that? How many more times will I say that? Thanks, JD. Justin, what's going on, Justin? The Knicks signing PJ Tucker is egregious only because that spot could have been used to sign another big. Precious gives you nothing. Yeah, I mean, look, sure, I'm not gonna call you crazy, but I'm not. Portia already went down, and you had already traded Sims, so you were down to Mitch and Precious and Cat, and you knew Mitch was going to be probably sitting out back-to-backs. So you knew you were going to have to rely on Precious Achua as your backup 5 at the very least. To say nothing of the fact that, like, he's still getting minutes, at least in the first halves of games, as the backup 4. There's still not a ton out there. There was not a ton out there at the time when they signed PJ. For that position, at least, in terms of bigs. Was there someone out there that could have been better than what he's given him? I don't know. Maybe. But don't look good right now. Thanks, Justin. Puerto Rock 78. What's going on? Save Me 11 is not an offense. As a Tibbs guy, this hurts. Hashtag fire Tibbs. We had historic offense, and you change. Why? I don't know what you mean by the last part in terms of we had a historic offense and you change. Why? What changed? Maybe you know something that I don't, but like to me, the offense has been the offense with Jalen Brunson in there. So, I think that their ball movement and their passing was better earlier in the season, for sure. I don't know that I don't think they like changed how they played or changed their scheme or anything like that. Changed the sorts of plays they run, or I just think they got less effective. Which is a problem in its own right. Thanks, Puerto Rock. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? Only silver lining is that this is happening now and not in the playoffs. The most alarming thing is the culture we grew to love is clearly not in this group when JB is out. It always happens in a post game where there's one or two super chats who basically summarize what it took me 20 minutes to try to get my words around, and you do it in like a line. Yes, the culture we grew to love is not in this group when JB is out. So what does that mean? How damning is that? How big of an issue is that? Feels like a pretty big issue. It feels like a pretty big issue. Like I was thinking at one point tonight, you know what I thought to? I thought to absolutely one of my 10 favorite wins of last season and probably one of my 3 favorite wins of last season, which was the Cleveland game when Brunson went down 40 whatever seconds into the game, and they were already banged up. I don't think they had been playing particularly well. If I recall correctly, they might have been coming off a loss. I don't remember, but like, I remember feeling like, oh my God, they really needed to go out and maybe steal a win tonight. And then Brunson went down. I'm like, oh my God, this is getting really out of hand. This is going to be really bad. They're going to get killed. And they won the game. And they won it in the way that team won so many games, with just otherworldly efforts from so many guys. I'm pretty sure Deuce McBride did not sit after he checked in for Brunson. I'm pretty sure he played 47 minutes and change or whatever it was. Compare that to tonight. And that was a good Cleveland team. I know they were missing Mitchell that night, but that was still a good Cleveland team. Albeit one that was maybe in the process of like kind of sort of a little bit quitting on their coach. But yeah, compare that night to tonight. No comparison. None. Thanks, Anthony. Parrish Duggar, great basketball game to watch. Enjoyed the Nets. I guess Parrish has given up on the Nets, the Knicks. I guess maybe when they fire the coach, he'll come back. Tibbs makes me appreciate having 2 NBA teams in New York. Oh, come on, Parrish. You obviously you can't call yourself a Knicks fan if you're rooting for the Nets. No. I feel if that's the case, if you're going to like, if you're ditching the team, like you could hate the coach, the kingdom come. You can't ditch your team. That just makes you a loser. Thanks, Parrish. Joe Vogel, what's going on, Joe? There's a reason why half the league is resting their guys. It's clearly the time of year when players are getting run down. The Knicks guys aren't immune. No, I don't think they are. And I like, for as much as I killed them in the opening, like, yeah, of course they're tired. Of course, tired legs had a lot to do with this. Like, that goes without saying, or it should go without saying. Hold on. I got some quotes here from Josh Hart. This is Steph Bondy tweeted this. Josh Hart, the way we're losing games is embarrassing. Said it's not indicative of a Tibbs coached team or a New York team. Like, it's very interesting that you hear a player evoke how a team usually acts under a particular head coach, his head coach, obviously. Who is he talking to? This is courtesy of New York Basketball, the great Twitter account. I'm just going to read this. Mental toughness. This is Josh Hart. That's my big concern right now. We can make all the excuses in the world. There's highs and lows in the season. No one's 82-0. But the way we're losing games is embarrassing. We have to find a way to right the ship. We got to come out next game with more intensity, desperation. It starts with myself, which let me pause and say, I didn't think Hart was good tonight. He came out and he played hard. And he played hard the whole game. Starts with myself. As someone who's supposed to bring energy, I've been atrocious the last several weeks. We have to get our minds prepared for the end of the season. We can make excuses. Terrible 2.5 weeks of travel, but all teams go through that. It's not an excuse. If we're right mentally, we win some of these games, but we're not doing what it takes, not doing the extra effort, giving energy, the right output. We're crying to refs. We got to pick it up. And then this is from Deuce, also courtesy of New York Basketball Twitter account. Deuce, what do they say? 90% of the game is mental. If you think you're going to come out tired, late on rotation, forget to box out, shot not falling, guys, including myself, hard to lock in. Figure out a way. It doesn't always mean making shots. It means we got to lock in even more on the other end. So everybody's talking about the mental part of it. So everybody acknowledges they are not as mentally locked in as they need to be. Why? Why? Again, Joe, to your point, and I don't disagree with you. Of course they're run down. And of course it's tired legs, the whole thing. But these players are saying that's not an excuse. And I don't think they're saying it half-heartedly. They are pointing specifically. They are going out of their way to point to the mental aspect of the game, implying that mentally, or saying outwardly, mentally, we are not in it. Why? Why? And whose fault is it? Is it anyone's fault? Is it no one's fault? I don't know. But that was illuminating. Thanks, Joe. Chumpalumps won. Great name. To me, it seems like an already incomplete team that's missing their best player, plus backup center who just want the regular season to be over. I hope that's all it is, Chumpalump. I really do. I really hope that's all it is. Clearly they're missing their best player. Clearly they miss Mitch tonight. You put Mitch in those precious minutes, I think it makes a big difference. It has been a long regular season. They talked about the mental part of it. I have to think this has been a far more mentally taxing season than last year. Last year, they were physically taxed. I don't think they were mentally taxed at all last season. They had some ups and downs earlier, but then they made the OG trade, and it was like, oh boy, smooth sailing. And then the injuries happened, and then they didn't get mentally taxed because at that point they had to get out of jail free card. So when they lost games, it was like, all right, everybody's hurt, So there was very little mental taxation on the team last year. This year, game one, there was already questions, and they had to defend themselves. And then they got off to a really uneven start. And then they won some meaningless games. And then the hits just kept on coming with every additional loss to a really good team. And I think every single one of those pushed them a little further and pushed them a little further and pushed them a little further and tested them a little more. And now we're at this point with these back-to-back losses, and you have Josh Hart and, Deuce McBride, mostly Josh Hart, talking about mentally we're not bringing it. And I wonder if it's because mentally they've been pushed to their limit. I don't know. Thanks, Jumpelos. Mitchell Berger, what's going on? Godspeed tonight, Macri. No, man, I'm pissed. Maybe pissed is the wrong word. I sound like a parent. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. That's really what it is. I'm just really disappointed in a team that I've really wanted to think the best of throughout this entire year. And it's really hard watching them right now to think. It's just really hard to think the best of them as a unit. And I want to emphasize that because I don't think it's about blaming any one player, although there are some players that I wanted more from that I don't think we've gotten more from. And that makes me disappointed, perhaps, in whether the front office did the right thing here in assembling the group in the way it did. So we'll see. Thanks, Mitchell. Yeah, we could do T Squared. All right, so Out of Town Scoreboard presented by T Squared Social. Of course, we got another watch party coming up on Saturday. Surely nothing could go wrong for that. Tip-off for the game, the Wizards game, is at 8 o'clock. I think we're getting things started at 6 o'clock. We got March Madness, obviously, on, so come on down T Squared. You could enjoy, hey, if the Knicks think up the joint, at least you got great college basketball on. So there's that. But yeah, come on down for a watch party, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, Out of Town Scoreboard. Only one other game went final tonight. Excuse me. And that game was Indiana over Brooklyn in overtime. So Knicks lead over the 4 seed is just 3 games. Bucks playing the Lakers tonight. Kings, Bulls going on right now, as well as Warriors, Raptors. Okay. That's your Out of Town Scoreboard presented by T Squared Social. Jessica, what's going on, Jess? How are you? Woof. What a precious shitty performance. Is F- a grade? I'm pretty sure Benji gave Precious an F last night. Let me see. And I saw he has his grades out already. Precious got an F last night. Tonight, let's see. Drum roll, please. F. So, F for Precious, F for Landry Shaman as well. Oh, wow. That's impressive. Highest grade, McBride. No, sorry. Highest grade, Hart got a C+, and Towns got a C+. I think that's accurate. McBride with the C, Anunoby with a C-. Probably because I think the threes and his defense kind of fell off in the second half there. But yeah, it was bad. But no, apparently F- is not a grade. Thanks, Jess. Darth Dream, what's going on, Darth? The streets miss a Johnny Bryant, Kenny Payne, Mike Woodson type next to Tibbs, though I fear the chance to remedy that may not come again, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: the assistant coaches, it's all Tibbs guys. Johnny Bryant and Kenny Payne and Mike Woodson, those were all, guys brought in to supplement Tibbs and his guys. Right now, it's all Tibbs guys, which is that the problem? I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe. Might be. Who's to say it is or isn't? No idea. Thanks, Darth. Puerto Rock with another one. A spark is needed, yet you refuse to give anyone a chance. You talk about trust, and yet we're losing trust in you. Like, come on, dude. I can't tell if you're talking to me or you're talking to Tibbs. If you're talking to me, I don't know what to. I don't really know what to say. I'm gonna keep saying what I think. If you wanna listen, great. If not, I mean, there's other places for you to turn. If you're like talking about Tibbs, you're refusing to give anyone a chance. I'm trying to think how to respond to that. I mean, it's not unfair on its face. Here's the thing about Tibbs. It's just, it always comes down to just, I mean, it's what Fred just talked about on the pod. It's whatever he thinks is going to give the team the best chance to win. So what does that have to do with what you're saying? Ultimately, he goes by whatever evidence he feels is most important. And that has to do with practice. That has to do with history. A veteran player obviously has a history, whereas a rookie does not have a history. The knock on him has always been take more chances, dude. Like, don't always fear the downside. And I think the comeback has always been, yeah, but he trusts, like, he does trust the track record and look at how it's almost always paid off for him. Now, it did not pay off for him in the 21-22 season, when certainly you could argue that if he had trusted his young players more and earlier in the season, that year might not have gotten away from them as it did. I don't think anything that we're seeing right now yet rises to that level. That got to the point of absurdity. This is, I think the bench has had a couple of bad games. Precious is a different issue because Precious has just been, it's been a long time coming for him. Payne and to a much lesser extent Shamet, because Shamet is, up until the last two games, hit shots since the All-Star break. But Payne's been good all year. That's the thing I keep coming back to. Like, Payne's been good. But he's one guy, and he's available on the minimum for a reason. So, look, you have a point. Do I think he's going to change? No. And then it's up to the front office to decide. One, we have to wait and see whether that's a smart move or not. And if it turns out to not be a smart move, then it's up to the front office to see, like, all right, well, how much does it matter to you? And how big of a difference do you think it made? And then, they could do what they want to do. Thanks, Puerto Rock. CC Kirby, what's going on, CC? Even before the injury that sidelined him for a while, Deuce has clearly been struggling this year. It's been a quiet problem of the season until this past week or so, and I hope he figures it out. Yeah, I don't know. I think Deuce has had some struggles this year. I think defensively he's been really good. I think offensively, like, he's gone through stretches where he's been really good. Tonight, he didn't shoot well, and he's not shooting as well as last year. On the year, this does not include tonight. Last year, he had an effective field goal percentage of 57.2. This year, it's 51.3. He's worse from 2, and he's worse from 3. Pretty much almost equal part. I mean, he was 41% from 3 last year. He's 37.6%. That probably went down after tonight. 45% from 2 is the big number for me, because last year he was at least at 51% on 2s. And he's kind of regressed on 2s this year. But I think so much of that, though, is at the rim. He's been so bad at the rim and around the restricted area. That's like an issue, and that's been my biggest issue with him. And then the playmaking stuff, I just don't know how much better that's ever going to get. But yeah. Thanks, CC. Kev with another one. I'm being too hard on Hart. Forgot about the threes. I didn't think Hart played well. I mean, Kevin, in your defense, he's called his play in recent weeks atrocious. So I don't think you're that off base. Thanks, Kev. Again. Dan Hidalgo, what's going on, Dan? We all knew the Knicks had to be at full health to be competitive. You can't absorb being without 2 starters, 2 all-stars. Year 1, sky isn't falling. Who's the second starter? And who's the second all-star? I might be missing something obvious, Dan. Regardless, it is year 1. And I don't think the sky is falling, if only because, like, okay, here's where the sky is falling. The sky is falling in, Philly. And the sky is falling in Phoenix. And the sky is falling in Dallas. And I think the sky is kind of perpetually falling in New Orleans, but that's just me. And like, honestly, like, I think there's like, I know, again, they beat us tonight. Like, the Hornets, like, yeah, the Hornets might get another great draft pick. I'm just so out on, like, LaMelo and, like, their culture, and, like, Miles Bridges is still on this team. I mean, Jesus Christ. And, like, it's never, what do we always say? It's never as bad as it feels when you're in a rut, and it's never as good as it feels when you're playing well. But no, the sky isn't falling. I've been so steadfast in my belief in what they had built all year long, even after, like, the back-to-back Cleveland and Boston ass kickings. That was more for me like, okay, we know they're not going to do anything this year. So what do they need to do in the summer to make it work? There's something about what's been going on the last few weeks, and it's without Jalen Brunson. So maybe all of this should be thrown out because of what you're saying, Dan. And that's not unreasonable. What you're saying, to be very clear, is the more reasonable take. There's something about what's been going on these last couple weeks that has me wondering if just something in the brew is bad. And we never had to worry about that last year. And I personally did not worry about that at all really for most of this year. And now that has creeped in, and it's like, I don't know what to do with that. End of the day, like, you have this fantastic vertical alignment between your president of basketball operations and your best player. We'll see how the coach factors into that after the season. And honestly, the owner too. The owner was just on the freaking Brunson's podcast, So, like, that vertical integration is important and vital. And whatever else they have to do or not do, like, that's there. And like I'll also say, like, I think the Cat trade has worked out really well. We know his struggles, and tonight we should say, like, his defense was part of the problem. Obviously, his defense, whenever they lose, always seems to be part of the problem. I get that. I would do that trade again, like, for me. And I know Randall's been playing really well in Minnesota. I do that trade again. I like Cat. I like what he's brought. I like him as a guy. I like him as a player. It's a puzzle piece that I like the challenge of trying to figure out how to continue to use it. Well, I do admit that as a challenge. So, like, that's a big thing too. So yeah, no, the sky isn't falling, but like it does not feel great right now. It just doesn't. Thanks, Dan. Juanon, what's going on, Juanon? You know who would have been nice filling Shamit's minutes tonight? Daquan Jeffries, you think? Yeah. Yeah, hey, listen, they kept him around for a while. Yeah, you say I kid. I don't think you're not kidding to me. Neither should be playing on the current 3 seed in the East. Our bench is hilariously bad. Hashtag fire toes. Yeah, it is. It's hilariously bad. We've it, like, when Deuce is not on the bench, it just makes everything so much worse. To say nothing of Mitch. And like now we've gone through like 4 different backup centers this year. We've had Sims, we've had Huckporty, we've had Mitch, and we've had Achua. And Sims is gone, and Achua or Huckporty is done for the foreseeable future. Mitch was out tonight, and you're left with the cheese that's standing alone. No, it was hilariously bad tonight, and they could have used I mean, this was one of those games that if they had gotten a spark off the bench, they probably win the game, but they got the opposite of a spark. So, thanks, Juno. Always appreciate you, man. Justin, what's going on, Justin? Bridges admitted to thinking the NBA Finals would be easy after going up 2-0. He was never built for New York. Just gonna. I don't know if it's about being built for New York. Knicks have a very unique culture. The Knicks have a very unique culture, and we all like died for it last year. But to say that it is not for everyone, yeah. Thanks, Justin. Rowan Sr., what's going on, Rowan? To me, the Cat trade is not as bad or is less than the Mikal Bridges trade. We traded away known commodities for Cat. Bridges was for picks. I think Cat changed the team chemistry more than MB has. I'll agree to disagree with you on this, Rowan. I can't sit here and be like, oh, you're wrong for this reason or that reason, because I'm not going to sit here and be like, Cat was an all-star. Cat's going to get MVP votes. Cat's going to make All-NBA, because ultimately that stuff doesn't really matter as it pertains to what you're talking about. As I am seeing it, I don't think Cat changed the team chemistry. I think Cat's been really good for I think he's been a good chemistry guy. I think he's been a good presence. I think he's like I know, like, again, Cat didn't have a good defensive game tonight, but I'm like honestly the least of my worries right now is Karl-Anthony Towns. As far as the known commodities you traded away for Cat, we knew what those commodities were. I miss Dante DiVincenzo every day. I miss Dante DiVincenzo every goddamn day. And I think the funniest conversation is like, if this team could trade Mikal Bridges for Dante DiVincenzo today, like, they probably wouldn't do it because you just couldn't get away with that. But like, would if you gave him truth serum, be like, who would you rather have on this team, DiVincenzo or Mikal Bridges? I think it's. I'm almost afraid to know the answer, because one guy, like, And that's why I think it's interesting, right? Because you're making the case, and again, it's a fair point you're making, but you're making this case based on what they sent out in the cat trade, right? Well, one of the things they sent out in the cat trade was DiVincenzo. The reason they felt comfortable sending out DiVincenzo was because of the Bridges trade. And I know it's not like Bridges replaced DiVincenzo, but in a sense, he kind of did. And we know what DiVincenzo brought. We know what that dude brought. Tough as fucking nails. Yeah. Thanks, Rowan Sr. Jibo, what's going on, Jibo? Being unprepared in the first quarter is on the coach. Can't disagree. Can't disagree. They don't look prepared to play. They did not look prepared to play. First quarter for this team, net rating, let's go last 7 games. First quarter net rating, last 7 games. Negative 9.5. That's the 24th ranked net rating in the league in the first quarter over the last 7 games. One spot below the Dallas Mavericks. Jesus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6th worst offensive net rating in the league in the first quarter over the last 7 games. It's not great. And their defense has actually been average in the first quarter. Oh, like it has the whole game. It's the offense. It's the offense. Thanks, Shibo. Freeway Hustle. What's going on, Freeway Hustle? Payne, Precious, Shamit, Deuce, Hart. Why is this okay, but not give Kolek, Bouchamp, and PJ a shot? Practice could be the time to give these guys a look, but they don't practice because they got to play 40. It's all fair. It's all fair. We've been talking about this recently, how they don't practice so they can play more minutes. And now what I will say is the minutes have been down a little bit. And tonight, I got to tell you, as that bench unit stayed in through the fourth quarter, as they were kind of hanging on to this game by a thread, and then you look up at the end and like, oh, wouldn't you? Not a coincidence, I don't think Mikal Bridges played the least minutes of any starter, 33 minutes tonight. If you think that is a coincidence, I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. 38 for OG, obviously that's a lot. And 39 for Hart, 36 for Towns, 36 for McBride. So maybe like he was trying to keep the minutes down, but like as I was watching that bench unit stay in there for as long as they did, but then you know what? The starters came in and it's like didn't get any better. So yeah. It's a fair point for you, Hustler. It's a fair point. Thanks. Appreciate you. Kev with another one. Thank you, Kevin. Give me a time machine. I'll tell Leon to ship Randall instead of Bogey in exchange for keeping some picks. Draft a center, Misi. Dump Mitch. Enough cap for iHeart. You've been on this for a long time. Yeah. And according to Kev, we would have Brunson, DiVincenzo, Bridges, OG, iHeart, plus Hart, Deuce, Misi, and Payne. That's a nice team. I don't know if sending Randall to the Nets, what would that have saved the Knicks? How much would that really have saved the Knicks? I can't answer that question. And also the cap, I don't know that cap stuff was going to work out, but I'm sure you've done your own math, Kevin. Deadward 604, what's going on, Deadwards? Good to see you. There has been some sort of disconnect in that locker room. There has to be some sort of disconnect in that locker room with Tibbs. Bridges' comments and Hart's blow up fly in the face of the culture this team has built the last few years. Yeah, I think they're just night and day in terms of like the Hart blow up with Tibbs. I think that was just a frustration thing. I think Hart. I mean Hart. I genuinely believe Hart loves Tibbs as much as any player loves any coach. I think Tibbs is his guy, and Hart is obviously a Tibbs guy. I think or disconnect. I just don't think everyone's on the same page. I just don't think everyone's on the same page, and they're not. They're just not. They're not playing like a team that's on the same page right now. Thanks, Edwards. Harry Muller, what's going on, Harry? Hey, John, if JB is back for the 4-8 game against Boston and we absolutely roll them, do you feel any better? Agree that something is unfortunately off, though. I mean, I don't know. Is Boston going to be caring about that game at all? Even if they play their guys, are they going to care about that game? Who the hell knows? No, I think I'll know or will know how. We'll know whether we should have confidence heading into the playoffs based on how they play overall. We'll know. We'll be able to tell. I don't think it has to do with one game or anything like that. But definitely don't think don't feel like the odds are great if things turn around before Brunson gets back. That's for sure. Thanks, Harry. Sean with a W. What's going on, Sean? One Matthew Frederick Katz said, and I quote, "There is no such thing as a schedule loss to the Hornets." LOL. You are better than this, Fred. I'll make sure to give Fred shit for that the next time he's on. Thanks, Sean. Armand Bernadette, what's going on, Armand? Is it possible that this isn't a Tibbs team? More of a finesse scheme team than a hard-nosed team that can just go out there and play? I think they don't know what they are. And I think part of the problem is that they are in between. Like, they're neither. I think that's the problem. I think they're neither. And I think they, the culture was so strong last year and it was just so clear what they were and who they were and what they believed in and all of those things that they clearly felt confident that like who are we bringing in? We're bringing in, a Kentucky guy who Tibbs has coached before. We're bringing in a Nova guy. Like, we're not going to have problems. And it just goes to show how unique that team was last year. And no, I don't think they really know what they are right now. Thanks, Armin. Iceman Sham, what's going on, Iceman? Shot creation aside, the culture is now in question. It has to be. It has to be. How is it not? How could it not be? Thanks, Iceman. SF New York, thanks for the contribution. Oh, here we go. John, I love KFS. Truthfully, in your opinion, was the Cat trade really a win for the Knicks? Was the OG trade, the McCall trade? This is just me. I think, okay, my opinion, I think the OG trade was a win. I think the Cat trade was a win. And I think the McCall trade was a loss. I think you could make arguments. I have a tough time thinking the OG trade was a loss. I just don't want $30+ million a year of Emmanuel Quickly on my basketball team. And I think RJ, we don't need to talk about RJ. I want OG Anunoby. And nothing that has happened this year has made me for 1 second, one solitary second, think back on the OG trade. The Cat trade is, so that's the clearest, like, no question about that for me. For me. God knows there's dissenting opinions. And I don't care about OG's money. It's fine. The Cat trade is more interesting because it just brings back the fundamental question of, can you play this guy at the 5 and win a title? And if you can't play him at the 5 and you have to play a 5 next to him, does that neuter enough of what he does that is special to make it that he is not worth what you gave up / what he is earning. And then on top of that, the fact that he is also not a traditional second option in that he's just not going to be a guy who you're not running 40, 50, whatever pick and rolls a game with him. He's not that sort of a player. He's not Jaylen Brown. He's not Paul George when Paul George was good. He's not Jamal Murray. He's not any of these players. And he is not the level of offensive player of Nikola Jokic, who is the one center in the league that you can play through. He's just not that level of player, because there haven't been 10 players in the history of the league that are that level of player. So there's no shame in that. So all those things aside, I think they were between a rock and a hard place with Julius Randle. And Julius Randle is the third most important Knick without question for the last 25 years. Without question. And I was ready to move on from Julius Randle. Again, that's just me. So for me, it's such a complicated trade with so many facets. But for me, I would do that trade again. The Bridges trade is the one that is, I would guess, going to keep this front office up at night for years to come. That's what I would say. For more reasons than one. Thanks, SF New York. Kara Goldenberg, you're the one I was talking about earlier. Hey, John, so due to technical incompetence, YouTube wasn't linked to my Gmail and asked me for a name. So I was the Ime Udoka account. And I get that you hate me, but this just isn't the coach for this squad. I actually thought of this, Kara. The funniest thing about that comment is that Ime Udoka, I don't know if you really want Ime Udoka. Ime Udoka hasn't played Reed Shepherd all year. He's the third pick in the draft. So how I'm just genuinely asking, how are you going to get on Tom Thibodeau for not playing the 34th pick in the draft when the coach that you claim is the guy you want for this team won't play the third pick in the draft or the fourth pick, whatever the hell Reed Shepherd was. But that's neither here nor there. Another one from Kara. For a longer conversation, but coaches like the Kerrs, the Jordy Fernandezes, the guys that are original, creative, unpredictable, and can relate to both youth and vets with strong assistant coaches, ball movement. I'm assuming there's another one. Tibbs is almost 70. It reflects very poorly that none of the guys that have worked under him are running teams in the league. It's hard to attract assistant coach talent when you don't listen. Look, you just summarized all of the convenient narratives or the prevailing narratives about Tibbs that have been around for years. I think while there is certainly some fairness in some of the stuff that you are getting at, he's not a perfect coach by any stretch. He is set in his ways. He is inflexible in certain respects. He's not a young man. He does have his foxhole guys, and if you're not part of his foxhole, then you can go fuck yourself. All that. And yet, there's so much stuff that doesn't get considered. Chris Persianen just had a guy on his pod the other day who talked about, he's an analytics guy. He runs an analytics company And he says Tibbs was one of the only coaches he's ever had who, when he was doing a presentation for analytics, Tibbs brought his entire staff in for the analytics presentation. And he's like, we'd never see that. So, and by the way, the reason that none of the guys that have worked under him are running teams in the league is because they all stick by him. And that's because they're incredibly loyal, I think, for the most part. And by the way, Kenny Payne, Mike Woodson, Johnny Bryant, those guys all moved on to nice opportunities. Ron Adams, the most valued assistant coach in basketball. He was a Tibbs guy. You know, I know he's not a head coach, but I don't think it's because he doesn't want to be a head coach. So, and like, I don't know. I think a lot of the X's and O's stuff with Tibbs, those sorts of knocks on him are just, again, is he the best X's and O's coach in the world? No, but I think he's a lot better than he gets credit for. And to the biggest thing though, and I say this all the time, and I'll say it to you, you're praising Steve Kerr, right? Do you not have any idea how many Warriors fans have wanted Steve Kerr fired over the last however many years, this year included? You know, you could have talked to a Warrior fan after any random Warrior game before they traded for Jimmy Butler and asked them what they thought of Steve Kerr. Now, to us, the grass is greener on the other side because, like, oh, doesn't that guy seem nice? Because you're not living with it every day. It's like a marriage, Kara. It's exactly like a marriage. You'll go out with your significant other and you'll see some other couple go out and, you'll think to yourself, man, that's like, they look happy, this and that. You don't have to live with that person. You don't see all their warts. You don't deal with it day after day after day after day after day after day. It's the same thing with NBA head coaches. It's the exact same thing. Your guy that you have, you always think is not as good as the guy that the other team has. Meanwhile, across the league, the vast majority of the fans look at the guy that they have, and they're always like, no, we'd rather have whichever other guy. So I think that should also always be factored into this. Look, Tibbs hasn't done a great job this year. I think he's probably made some mistakes. Is he at fault for what's going on right now? Absolutely. Because everybody's at fault. We'll one thing I'm not going to go back on is, and I know you got a couple more here, Kara, is, well, he'll be judged after the season's over, and judging him right now is premature. Okay, let's see what else you got to say. You can't really evaluate a team that's not a Tibbs team until we have a coach that doesn't demand a team be tailored to his forte. The team will look completely different under a modern coach. Will they? Are you sure? Go talk to Jalen Brunson about how different the team's going to look under a different coach. And then another one, expensive rant, but appreciate open-mindedness and optimism. I believe in what this team can show us when coached with more creativity and flexibility. Kara, you might be right. You might be right. It might be time for this team to get more flexible and have a different brand of creativity and have more open-mindedness and all of those sorts of things. I am not sure. I can't sit here and be like, yes, go get this coach or that coach or any other coach. And like, it's automatically going to solve the issues that I think are present, because I think the issues that are present are as much issues with the roster and the people on the team than they are with anything having to do with Tibbs, but I can't say that for a fact. And Kara, I think, has one more in response to something I said. You are getting your money's worth, Kara. I hope you feel that way, at least. I am in change management and restructuring. It's my job to assess fit. It's the same thing here, not grass greener for me. All right. Well, listen, then you're in the minority, because I think for most people, for most fans, it's the grass is greener on the other side. Maybe it's run its course with Tibbs. You might be right. I can't sit here and give you definitive evidence that it hasn't. The only thing I could say is, like, I'm not even going to quote their record, which is still pretty good, and his overall record in New York, which is still very good. I think you have the best player on the team thinks that this coach is the right coach. Now, does that mean you keep the head coach? No. That by itself? No. But if you have full 100% buy-in from your best player, and when the team has had that player with them on the court, in Jalen Brunson, they have look pretty good more often than not. I mean, if you let go of this coach and you go hire someone else, you better be 1,000% certain that the guy you're bringing in is going to have that same level of relationship with Jalen Brunson. Because, frankly, that is the most important quality that any Knicks head coach could have. By far. As far as I'm concerned. But that's me. That's me. Thanks, Kara. Appreciate that back and forth. Puerto Rock with another one. Maybe the next MSG game we should chant Johnny Bryant. Please don't. Like, that's not helpful. I have nothing else to say. Johnny BK, what's going on, Johnny? This team doesn't look like a team right now. All important intangibles seem to be missing: camaraderie, structure, clarity, and most importantly, joy. Yeah, they're not playing with any joy. They're playing like a miserable group of guys right now. It's pretty clear. There's not. When did they smile tonight, Or last night, for that matter. It's, yeah. It's not great. I mean, Miami, they had joy against Miami. That's fun. But not tonight or last night. Thanks, Johnny. Haitian Ferg, what's going on, Haitian? Always great to hear from you, man. Leon knowingly gave us a shit bench this year. Is the coach carrying the front office? Are the players carrying the coach? Could it be possible that Leon's parlay isn't due until next year? How upset can we really get? As usual, Haitian bringing the rational reasoned take that I can't sit here and say for sure that like the people who want to fire Tibbs and the people who, think that the team that they assembled is broken. Just like I can't call that unreasonable. I'm certainly not going to sit here and say that your take is unreasonable, Haitian, because I frankly don't think it is. And I think you make a good point, which is the point that I've made all year, that judging this team in year one is not really fair. I just hope that the core that they've assembled is not there, that there isn't it's not at the point where they need to swap something out after 1 year because they're like, man, this did not work at all, and we cannot go forward with this. And again, I will say it yet again. The absolute best thing that could possibly happen to this team is for them to look at the situation and be like, changing the head coach is going to make this all better and for it to work. Where do I sign up for that? Where do I sign up for that? I would pay money for that. A not insignificant sum for that to be the case. Which I know most people think that is the case. And that's going to fix everything. And man, if they fired the head coach and they hire someone else, do I hope everybody's right. I hope everybody's right. Thanks, Haitian. Haitian with another one. Thank you, Haitian. Again, appreciate you, man. Our bench wasn't going to move the needle this year. We thought we were going to Disney this year, and Leon took us to Coney Island instead. The patience will prevail. He's not done cooking just yet. It's year one. I don't doubt that for a second. We've talked about this all year. They hamstrung themselves. They were not able to fill out the team, the roster, the way a championship team needs to fill out their roster. This is not news, and this has been the case all year. I want to be very specific. My trepidation right now, my nervousness comes in the fact that I was really just trying very hard to continue to be all in on this core, and I'm starting to waver a little bit. That's all that it is for me. And I hope I look back at tonight and feel very silly that I overreacted. I really hope that's the case. Thanks, Haitian. Kevin with another one. Jeremy's confirmed the theoretical possibility of how they could have signed iHeart. Well, there you go. That's all you need. If Jeremy confirmed it, then it's fine. Robert Cross with another one. Oh my God, Kevin, doing this type of stuff tonight. Shake my damn head. Hey, listen. It beats thinking about this team and what they're doing right now. I'll tell you that. Thanks, Robert. Jessica with another one. Not to tinfoil hat, but if JB had a season-ending injury, we likely wouldn't be told, correct? If the team knew, would it look worse or like this? I don't think that's it. I think because Tibbs said today that the boot was off and he's doing light shooting, I would be extraordinarily surprised. And actually, even more than that, Tibbs said that, like, we'll try to get him some games before the playoffs. So I don't think we're there. But the way the Knicks talk about injuries, listen, I wouldn't blame you for thinking it. Thanks, Jessica. Asha, what's going on, Asha? Great to see you again. I jumped out the window last night, but tonight I saw quiet quitting, minus a few guys. The morale is at a new low, also missing JB. Yep, morale is at a new low, and yep, they are missing JB, and yep, I saw some quiet quitting as well. Thanks, Sasha. John Leary, what's going on, John? Joining late here, even with Brunson, the team's net rating was on a downward trend before injury. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Barely beating mediocre teams needed Brunson's heroics. Yeah, 100%. 100%. They were trending in the wrong direction. And then I thought they did some nice things. I thought the Memphis win was really encouraging. I thought what was the other win they had around then? They had another win where they came from behind, I think. It all runs together. I forget. But they had some nice moments there. But was it still trending poorly? Yeah. It's been a really long time since we've seen this team play 48 minutes of good basketball against a good team. Or it feels like a long time since we've seen that. And tonight it feels like we're never going to see that again. It really does. It really does feel like we're never going to see that again. But yeah, when's the last time we felt really good about an effort that they put forth against a really good team? I mean, shit, you might have to go back to that Houston game. And even the Houston game, they were down until the fourth quarter, and Brunson kind of saved them. So, I don't know. You don't have to go back to January. It's been a while. So look, they got time. They got 13 more games. Oh, wait, hold on. We got a couple more. I thought this was the last one. Joe Dugan, what's going on, Joe? The Bridges trade isn't a sunk cost. Basically got him for 4 Pacome Dadiers, who Tibbs doesn't want anyway. Can easily move again this summer. Worth the gamble. It's not. You can't look at it like that. You can't look at it. I'm sorry to push back on you so hard, Joe. You cannot look at it like that. It's the opportunity cost, because the team trading for those picks isn't looking at it like 4 Pacome Dadiers. It is looking at it like we're getting maybe one lottery ticket out of this, at least one lottery ticket out of this, maybe 2 lottery tickets. Maybe if we get really lucky, we'll get 3 lottery tickets. And when I say lottery ticket, I am talking about anytime you have an unprotected pick from another team, it opens the possibility that team will stink. Now, the first year pick, obviously the Nets knew that was not going to be a good pick. Even the 2028 pick 2 years from now, I'm pretty sure the Nets knew that was not going to be a great pick. But a 2029 pick and a 2031 pick, that has immense value, because who in God's name knows what is going to be going on or who's going to be here 5 years from now and 7 years from now. Or I guess at this point, 4 years from now and 6 years from now. So it's the opportunity cost. And the opportunity cost is the fact that you then don't get to move those picks to another team who would make the same bet on the same lottery ticket. It has nothing to do with like even if the Knicks are good for the next 7 years, and even if those picks all end in the 20s, it doesn't matter. You still sacrifice the opportunity cost of what you could have used those picks to get. And even the biggest Mikal Bridges fan in the world, and I know there are other teams who are going to look at him and they're going to say, you know what? It was not a fit in New York, but I bet it will be a better fit here. And I think we'll figure out how to make him happier here. And we want him. Even the most optimistic team in the world is not going to give you a package of picks that is commensurate with the package that you gave up. You might get a really nice player. You might get some picks in a nice player. I don't know what you're going to get. It might be part of a larger deal. There's lots of different things it could be. He's even as iffy as he has been this year, teams will look at him and his skill set and they'll say, yeah, we want that. We could use that. So he has value. But the opportunity cost, again, trading your most distant, unprotected first-round picks, you are not going to get that back. Can they survive it? Yeah. Maybe Bridges might even work out here. He might stick around. He might be a Knick for life. He might be awesome in the playoffs. He might be awesome next year. He might make all-star teams. I don't know. Who knows? But that's that one. That's out the window. That's out the window. The picks. Thanks, Joe. And now we got Christian Mitchell. What's going on, Christian? Let's be real. Is the team short of players? Yes, but Tibbs doesn't know how to win with long rotations. He plays 8 even when he has more players. He ran the team to the ground. Mikal had to call him out. Well, first of all, Tibbs likes to play 9, not 8. And yeah, he does like to play his starters. He likes to play his starters a lot of minutes. If that's how you want to go, that's fine. You know, on a night like tonight, again, nobody's safe. Nobody's safe. And now we got one from FaZe Vader. What's going on, FaZe? Hey, John. Shamet is a joke. Payne is not a viable backup, and Deuce is not a point guard. I hear Ferg on the Rose bench thing, but playing 8 guys and getting waxed is on the coach. Shake my head. You can't tell me giving Kolek some run would have been worse. The circle of trust isn't worth shit right now. Expand your circle, coach. # don't fire Tibbs. I can't tell if that's ironic or not. Yeah, no, tonight's you can't look at tonight and be like Tyler Kolek wouldn't have helped. Like couldn't have made it worse. Could not have possibly made it worse. Truly. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe is tonight what it takes? Is tonight the thing that gets Tibbs to expand the circle? We'll see. And if he doesn't do it and it keeps going bad and these guys don't perform, again, front office, they could take action. They could take action this summer. Even a year after you gave them the extension, they could take action this summer. Absolutely. It's up to them. Thanks, Phrase. All right. I think that's it. Did not see this one being a 2-hour one, but here we are. Thanks for checking out another episode of the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by BetUS TV. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a 5-star rating, and just support us in any way you can. I have no idea what I'm going to write for tomorrow's newsletter on the old Substack, but I am sure that I saved something for that, because that game, man, did that give us a lot to chew on. So tonight was an adventure. Don't forget T-Squared Watch Party Saturday for, again, what could go wrong against the Wizards. Come join us for that. And what else? Yeah, I think that's it. All right. Talk to everybody soon. Peace out.